I personally am very sensitive. We use this acronym HALT. If you're hungry, if you're angry, if you're lonely, if you're tired, halt and take care of one of those things, because you're not going to make very good decisions. So we need to eat, and it's a blessing. It's one of the most pleasurable things. And I think there's I was looking at the statistics yesterday. There's 35. Well, let's see here. 37% of Americans, 2.5% of Americans are overweight. So it's really an amazing statistics that the overwhelming majority of us are not that happy with our weight. So the whole eating thing is, wow, I love Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I love meatloaf. I love meatloaf and potatoes. There's a comfort food aspect to it. On the other hand, I find myself saying, I'm going to have this plate of food. I'm not going to think about it too much. And then sometimes what happens a few hours later is what was I thinking? Why did I do that? So and we bond over food. We go to a restaurant and we sit across from each other, and please leave your cell phones in the car when you do that. But we bond over food. There's that term breaking bread, right? Now, what are a few other interesting terms when we look at this mind-gut connection and the microbiome, the bacterial flora from esophagus to stomach to small intestines to large intestines? We have an entire population of little guys, maybe they're females too, I don't know. But I don't know about the gender of bacteria, but we have billions of little cells that line our intestinal tract that also have feelings, also synthesize, create neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers that control our thoughts and feelings and decisions and memories. So it turns out that what we eat 3 times a day, 4 times a day, 5 times a day, what we eat has an effect on that population of bacteria in our esophagus, stomach, small intestines, large intestines. Now I think I'm getting at why they say gut. There's something about that word gut, the mind-gut connection. There's something like punch in the gut, that word gut. But it's the mind-gut connection. And I'm sure some of you heard this, that there are more serotonin receptors. Serotonin is one of the chemical messengers. Prozac, for instance, Prozac, Zoloft, Celexa, Lexapro, and many others increase the amount of serotonin, which is a feel-good chemical messenger in the brain. One of the chemical messengers, along with dopamine, norepinephrine, and histamine and some others, that are decreased in depression and are imbalanced in anxiety. So what we've learned is that there are much more serotonin receptors in the gut than there are in the brain. So the choices we make about eating can actually, where it used to be that we talked about eating will help with our feelings, now it's getting more sophisticated. You can actually treat depression by altering diet and by making food choices, but there's also nutritional supplements that are very specific. So I don't want to get too complicated, but I think the good news, you should all just really feel good in knowing that there's research now, there's evidence that some of the specific nutritional supplements are just as effective as medication for things like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, and the anxiety disorders like panic disorder and generalized anxiety. And this is something that I'm just learning about, even the schizophrenia and bipolar disorder can be treated with an array of evidence-based nutritional supplements. And I don't want to get too controversial, but I'm saying that there are studies and studies and studies of these things. The other thing, and this, I mean, really, this is a weekend seminar reduced into half an hour. But think about our language. We say that I can't stomach that issue. You know, I get butterflies in my stomach. People say when they're stressed about something. A lot of people do refer, you know, not just head and not just the static in the attic that comes forth sometimes, but people do make this. You know, you'll see people sometimes put their hand on their stomach or put their hand on, and so there's clearly something going on when it comes to our emotional state, our emotional health, our emotional intelligence. There's something about that that's, oh, my stomach. And some people, for instance, get loose stools, you know, get their bathroom habits changed. There are some people who the only way that emotions get chaotic or imbalanced is through stomach issues, epigastric pain, ulcers, you know, a burning sensation in the stomach, change in bathroom habits. And then, I mean, there are some people that get sick to their stomach, actually, you know, vomit, throw up when they get very, very stressed. So of course, our emotional health involves our gut and gastrointestinal.
It
And
seems to be a two-way street, doesn't it?
it is a two-way street. But to keep things very simple, and I'm very happy to send you some. You know, I'm just self-conscious about people feeling they need to take notes or something. I just there will be another chance to get some of the details of what I'm saying, but I do have an acronym that I think will be helpful to people to put this all together. Before I give the acronym, the general principles, they're very, very simple. Eat foods as close to their natural state as possible. Obviously, an apple is going to be much healthier than a slice of apple pie because a lot of work and processing and rigmarole and fiddling around and baking went into the apple pie, where the apple was just picked from the tree. So eat foods close to nature. The other general principle, and then I'll give the acronym. I saw you smile. I'm not purposely keeping people hanging.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'm loving this.
Is the colors. There's actually a great book called The Rainbow Diet. But as you approach the produce section, notice a variety of colors in what we eat is really important. God gave us blueberries, and which are blue, strawberries, which are bright red, green peppers, orange peppers, yellow peppers. Any food that's bright in color, any food that will stain your white shirt. Turmeric is something bright, bright gold and orange that I once I was late for a meeting and I ate turmeric and they go, what did you just eat? You got orange all over your mouth. But anything that's bright in colors and a balance of the colors, greens, is important to get a balance and array of different colors, because the process of what makes those bright colors that line grapes or blueberries or whatever, or carrots. Just think of how different a carrot and a blueberry, two different colors. We need both of those things. The things that comprise making those colors that line the vegetables and fruits are very healthy for the body. They're anti-inflammatory and they're antioxidant. So what's the acronym? The acronym is the word health, HEALTH. The H, the first H, stands for H2O. It is really important, and I myself forget to do it throughout the day. This is probably the amount of water we need to drink in a day. Now, I'll ask all of you to raise your hand to those who do drink this much every day, and I'm going to turn around. So, I mean, it's really hard to remember, but we need to be drinking water all day. So H2O, we are 70 to 80% water. Our brain is a lot of water. Our brain is mainly water and fat, by the way. So healthy fats are important. So the first H in the word health is H2O. We need to drink good, clean water throughout the day. And I want to tell you, Robin, I'm not an expert in water. I don't know if tap water is that bad. I don't know. It seems like the youth of today will never drink tap water, and they get the bottles, and there's different.
A lot of the bottles are just taken from another source.
Is that right? Yeah. So I don't think it's that important which water you drink, but the most important thing is to drink about a gallon of water a day. And this should become in vogue. Walking around with a gallon jug like that. So the first H is H2O, water. Drink water through the day. The E in health is emotional eating, and that's a term that we need to be careful. It's basically, when I write this out, sometimes I say emotional eating, and then I say parentheses, don't. And if you think I'm not guilty of this, you're wrong. But we need to eat when we're hungry. We need to eat the other E is it's emotional eating. It's also efficiency. We need to eat in a way that maximizes nutrient density. In other words, McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King, if you think about that food, that's high calorie, high saturated fat, very low nutrient. The opposite of that is something like a blueberry or an apple or pomegranate or broccoli, something that doesn't have that many calories but has a lot of nutrition. So on the one extreme is foods that are like turmeric. I mean, I eat pieces of organic turmeric that packed with nutrient and bee pollen. Another bee pollen is probably the most nutrient dense food. It's like all nutrition, and it's not that many empty calories. So we need to eat when we're hungry. We need to learn what foods have high nutrient density. And the mistake a lot of us make, and I think the reason that there's so much obesity and so much overweight, is we're eating for the wrong reasons. There's that term comfort foods. I mean, that sounds so good, doesn't it? I mean, comfort foods, pancakes. I mean, who can argue with pancakes? I mean, it's fine to have pancakes every now and then, but that comfort, the mashed potatoes.
Mhm.
I think one way of making comfort and nutrient dense together is soups. Soups are so good. Like the bean soups and vegetables and putting all those things together. And the great thing about soup is that it's cooking, and the nutrients, the vitamins and the minerals and the micronutrients are passing from the foods to the soup. So it's like double the pleasure. You got the food that's in the soup. Yeah. And it also, if it's warm, and when anything warm goes into the stomach and gut and increases circulation, so the blood starts going to the GI tract. So there's so many good things about soup. So the H is H2O, drink a lot of water. The E is emotional eating. Be very careful about eating for stress and eating for emotions and eating, oh my God, I just got this terrible phone call and this guy is angry with me. Let me go to the refrigerator. Let me go eat some potato chips. And if you think about it carefully, the eating does have a psychological benefit, but is my relationship with this friend of mine who's angry with me, and this really is going on, by the way, is that really going to be helped by my going in the kitchen and eating potato chips? I mean, in the immediate, you're going to feel better. But I think emotional eating is a really, really dangerous. I hate to use such a harsh word, but it's not good. It's just not healthy. It's and if nothing else, besides the health, besides the problems that it creates in the actual physical effect of those stress of the stress eating, but then you feel guilty afterwards, then it's like hours later you say, oh God, why did I do that? Why did I do that? And then that negative energy from the guilty thoughts and feelings has a negative impact. So H2O is the H in health. Emotional eating and efficiency with nutrient density is the E. The A is abstain. And I might get a little controversial here, but I'm starting to believe this is true. And people are not going to be very happy with some of this, but it looks like abstaining from white sugar and white flour is the research is starting to show that those things are really detrimental to our health. So what I'm trying to do these days, starting tomorrow, is to abstain from sugar, flour, and dairy. I find, there are some people that are lactose intolerant, right? Well, isn't that kind of interesting that there are a lot of people that are lactose intolerant? So, I mean, the only beings that are meant to drink cow milk are baby cows, right? And we stopped drinking human milk, well, if you're in the La Leche League, I guess it's 17. But we stop eating, you know what I mean. So it seems like dairy, and it seems like I mean, certainly Ben and Jerry's or Haagen-Dazs. Oh my God, I mean, such benefits in the short term. I mean, they're just so great. But it just seems like a lot of foods. Cheese, I heard a woman once say, I heard a woman once say that she goes, my husband doesn't care what I make as long as I just melt cheese over it. Cheese is a very common comfort food. But it seems like if we abstain from flour and sugar and dairy, and then substitute with the vegetables and fruits and legumes and grains, and we start learning about other foods, that's going to be a one day at a time. That's going to be a much healthier diet. So learn which foods to abstain from. H2O, E, emotional eating and efficiency. A is abstain. There are some foods we just have to cut out, and those are the ones I mentioned. Then the L is lots. So to compensate for abstaining, there are some things that's healthy to eat lots of greens. There's actually a drink here. It's taken me a while, but this is a brand, Suja Organic, which is a greens drink. When we have more greens in our diet, lots of greens, the broccolis, the asparaguses, the lettuces, the greens are very good because they promote more of an alkaline, more of a basic system, which is healthier than acidic. And a lot of the bad fats and a lot of the sugars create more of an acidic system. So lots. The L in the word health is lots of natural fruits, lots of natural vegetables, lots of legumes, which are beans. There's so many different kinds of beans. Lots of grains. There's grains that people have never heard of. Between the barley and the buckwheat groats and the brown rice. So lots of those natural foods that are God-given instead of synthesized in a lab or processed. So the HEALT. So the T is the word take. And there are a few supplements that we probably should take every day. And I'll just keep it simple. I'm not going to get into what supplements to take for anxiety and depression and those kind of things, because that's a very, very individual basis. But a multivitamin mineral every day would be important. Probably some extra vitamin C, especially now with in the immune system in question. Vitamin C, and so if it's a good quality, and I would say, let me actually go on a limb and say that Vitamin Shop or Whole Foods, I mean, I'm talking about that quality. I'm not an Amazon person, so I know people order, but I like walking into a store and seeing me making choices based on what's in my hand. But a good, high quality, not too cheap multivitamin mineral.
Yeah. There's a wonderful guide. There's a wonderful guide to this is a guide for multi-mineral and multivitamin.
Oh, very good.
To look through.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so people can reach out to me to find out.
Okay. I would also say pretty much everybody should be taking an omega-3 fatty acid supplement like fish oil. That's pretty much across the board. I have, for instance, this is Solgar, which is a gold label, which is a good brand. This is omega-3. This is 950 milligrams of EPA, which is eicosapetanoic acid. That's one of the omega-3s. And then DHA, those are the two main omega-3s. So if you want to get sophisticated, you go in a vitamin shop or Whole Foods and say, I'd like an omega-3 with, I would say 1,000 milligrams of EPA and 1,000 milligrams of DHA. So the EPA is eicosapetanoic acid and the DHA is docosahexaenoic acid. And yes, I am saying those words because I'm very proud that I know them. But the EPA and the DHA. So because we do not, in this Western diet, we do not get enough of the omega-3 essential fatty acids. And our brain is about 60% healthy fats. So when you look at the water in the word health, and you look at what you should take in the word health, fish oil, omega-3 fatty acids, DHA, EPA, and there are some brands that are better than others with that. And Robin, you and I can talk about that. So take supplements. Don't get crazy with it. Don't take too much. Oh my God, I'm flashing to my house in Boca Raton many years ago where you open up a cabinet and there's just all these jars and bottles of this and that. And meanwhile, I wasn't really feeling that good, but I was trying to compensate by taking a lot of supplements. So there's a balance with that. And there's a way of doing that in a smart way. And the balance also has to do with, we're talking about when it comes to supplements, that is a good place, I think, to not get cheap and not go to Walmart or Costco or
yeah. One of the problems when people walk into a health food store, they learn about each individual things, and it's good to find a product that is balanced, that the research is behind to have it balanced for the multi. And they see all these different things, and then they load up and they end up with closets full of supplements. So that is something I definitely don't encourage.
Exactly. It reminds me of I was in the gym recently and I spoke to the manager and I said, you know what what is the best exercise? And she said a very good response. She said, the one that you do. It's like, what's the best supplement? It's the one that you're going to take. And by the way, my joke was, what's the best exercise? The best exercise is pushing yourself away from the table.
Yeah.
It's really good. It works. That's probably the best exercise. So that's take, and then HEALTH. So the final H is, of course, if I came up with health and I need to come up with something for the final H, the final H is holistic. And what that means is think about the whole body. Think about the fact that there's this mind-body connection and that there's also a body-mind connection. So when we have physical discomfort, physical impairments, that's also going to affect our thinking. I mean, somebody who's depressed because they have a broken leg and they can't do their running or they can't move around as much, that's a somatopsychic. That's a body affecting the mind. So it's a circle. The mind affects the body affects the mind. So think holistic. Think about the whole picture. Think about this whole word of health with the water, the nutrient density, but everything goes together. And I will also say, and I see it's 12:01, I will also say that everything I just talked about and to keep it very simple, keep things as close to natural as possible. Don't get too hungry. Drink water all day. Look at colors. Um, but we're really starting to find that it's not rocket science, that if we take care of those very simple things, if we stay in our hula hoop of things that we can control, which is ourselves, and we look very carefully at what we're putting into our body food wise, what we're putting into our mind with our thinking and with our connecting with others and who we have in our life, and if we and we digest, we actually, what we visualize, what we look at, we're that is hitting our retina cells. I mean, that is really, we're taking it in. So everything we take in, our relationships, our food, our water, our thoughts, our hobbies, everything we're taking into our system is affecting every one of our 724 million cells. Wait, is that right? I mean, it's amazing how many cells we have. So everything we do, we are what we think, we are what we eat, and more to be revealed. That's all I got for now.
Saying, I was just typing in, we can open for questions. That was wonderful. I love that health. I love that because it's an easy way to remember some of these really very important habits to make, because what we want to do is habits. So I want to tell the participants we're open for questions. You can either hit, if you see at the bottom, there's a Q&A box, or you can type in the chat box, and I will help guide those questions to Dr. Greer. I'm going to write this up too. Box. Or for Dr. Greer. I had a question. I was trying to think, where was it? I know, a question about abstaining. I have seen cases where people had to abstain from a food that might be in general healthy, and they have sensitivities to it. My son in particular has sensitivities to grains besides just the white bread. Corn is not good for him, and some different things. Have you had any experience with people who had unusual, like foods they found that they really couldn't eat, just because of their specific personal body chemistry, or actually most likely because of the microbiome?
Well, the best example of that is vegetarians and vegans who, vitamin B12 is really, the best. Meat is the best source of B12. So if you abstain from meat, then you're going to have to find another source of vitamin B12,
Yeah.
which actually sea vegetables, and there's some other. But you're raising a very interesting question, because there is this school of thought. There's a book called Against the Grain, and there's this. I actually. I know this guy. He went to Jackson Hospital. He wrote this book, and his belief is that all grains, we should abstain from all grains, because, and I have to admit, I'm not sure I understand the science, but there's something about grains and going into the bloodstream. There's the gluten-free, right? That's an example of abstaining. I don't really fully understand gluten-free. Gluten is something that makes pizza, it's the people throw it when the pizza makers throw up the pizza, and it's gooey, it's sticky, and it tastes good, but there's something about gluten that goes into the GI tract. So, I mean, my general answer is yes. I think the important thing is that anything that you need that needs to be abstained because of a sensitivity, there's always going to be a substitute for it. You just have to
know what it is, and sometimes supplement for that. And also, think about your substituting the gluten-free. The gluten-free is very real for certain people, but you go to the grocery store and you see a lot of junk food that's gluten-free, or what I call processed.
Right, it's a marketing thing. My friend and I, we talk about, we're going to do gluten-free psychotherapy.
Yeah. I have a couple more questions coming. One from John asked, do you recommend pre and or probiotic supplements in general? I mean, I'm pretty familiar with this, but in helping the microbiome, um, prebiotic supplements, prebiotic is actually the foods that the organisms need to eat. So it's eating a diet rich in fiber, where you get the fiber when you're eating the food, the whole foods. You know, when you're eating an apple, you're getting fiber with it.
Yes.
So eating, that's going to help. You have any other comments on
John,
that?
John, you nailed on something that I actually was going to talk about in detail, but I just wanted to get more general, and I don't know that much about it. But the probiotics, like Robin said, are the bacteria themselves, and I think it sometimes is important on an individual basis to learn which probiotics a person needs. And then, like you just said, the prebiotics are those nutrients that the probiotics eat. So what I just read last night is that the best supplements are when you have the probiotic and the prebiotic together, because then you're getting the organisms for the microbiome and you're getting what the organisms eat. So they're kind of like it's two in one. But you know, it's a new field, and I'm open to learn from, you know, the consumers. I mean, you know, I worked in health food stores for years, and it's actually a good place to meet your spouse, your future spouse. No, it's amazing. Health food stores are great, and I learned a lot from the customers, especially when I worked in the Oak Feed store in Coconut Grove. And there was the herbal section, and there's frankincense, and there's chicory, all these things. And customers would come in, and they oh, could I have half a pound of that? And I'd say, oh, what do you use this for? And it's amazing that there's a whole array of healing herbs that really are good. But anyway, the question, it's a good question, and I think we need to learn more about this whole probiotic and prebiotic supplements.
We have another
And
question that, if you done, are you complete?
yes,
Yeah, we have another question from Kirsten. How does the immune system play in this? To eat healthy vegetables, seafood, and limited meat, is this a major contributing factor in the diet? It must help the guts, and she only eats gluten-free food. So it sounds like she has a very nice diet going on there. I mean, what she's eating. But how does
well,
the immune system play into this?
um, the immune system is very, very tied into diet, and I think that what's going on outside that I'm not going to talk about with the immune system status. I think the way that we can really do what we can do with this is to bolster our own immune system. Seafood is very good for the immune system, but I would say, and I will say, I used to be Orthodox Jewish, and I'm sort of heading in that direction too. But the best the kosher seafood, which basically is fish with scales and fins, both, you know, all the fish that have both skins and both fins and scales. Seafood is really, really healthy. Now shellfish, I mean, I'm not sure, and I'm not saying bottom feeders, and the shellfish are probably not that healthy for the immune system. But everything else that you mentioned is healthy for the immune system, and anything that's good for the body. I mean, we're learning a lot of depression and a lot of disorders in general are because of inflammation, which is the body's form of swelling, and if which affects the immune system. I mean, inflammation is an immune system that's just out of balance, and oxidation. You know, the
Absolutely.
oxidative stress. Yeah, so you put those two things together, learn about inflammation and oxidation, and what are the antioxidants, which are healthy, and what are the anti-inflammatory, which are healthy. And
It
you could
all
do it.
goes
You could
together
do it with food.
holistically. And the research I was doing was all on the inflammatory pathway and looking at inflammation,
Uh,
looking at how, looking at how foods, how compounds regulate our inflammation, because they do. They turn things
Robin,
on. And our body can make our own antioxidants. I mean, I also eat antioxidants, but our body
really?
can.
Oh, that's very
Um,
cool. I want to ask you, Robin, do you have an opinion on turmeric? What do you think of turmeric?
I love
as an
turmeric.